Discover the magic behind one of Korea's most indulgent desserts, the Kirish Chocolate Cake. From rich chocolate ganache to a velvety raspberry mousse, let's dive into the intricate process that makes this dessert truly special. The art of crafting Kirish chocolate cake with ganache and raspberry mousse. Korean patisserie is an evolving art, blending French techniques with local ingredients and flavors. One such masterpiece that has gained admiration is the Kirish chocolate cake. This decadent dessert features layers of moist chocolate cake, velvety ganache, and a tangy raspberry mousse. But creating this cake is no simple task. It's a symphony of ingredients, each chosen for its texture, flavor, and ability to harmonize with the others. Making the perfect Kirish chocolate cake requires precision, patience, and a deep understanding of balance. Let's begin the journey of creating this masterpiece, step by step, exploring every detail that goes into making this sophisticated dessert. The chocolate sponge is setting the foundation. The first step in making the Kirish chocolate cake is creating the chocolate sponge. The sponge cake is the very foundation of this dessert, and it needs to be light yet rich in flavor. For this, high-quality cocoa powder is essential. The cocoa is carefully sifted to remove any lumps and ensure a smooth, even texture when mixed. The choice of cocoa is crucial. It needs to have a rich, intense chocolate flavor that will permeate the entire cake. In a mixing bowl, the eggs and sugar are whisked together. As the eggs are beaten, air is incorporated, creating the base for a light, fluffy texture. The sugar dissolves into the eggs, creating a smooth, pale mixture. This step is important, as it helps establish the lightness of the sponge. Once the egg and sugar mixture reaches a soft peak, the butter is melted and combined with vanilla extract for added depth and fragrance. The melted butter is carefully folded into the egg mixture to add richness without deflating the batter. At this stage, the flour and baking powder are gently incorporated, followed by the cocoa powder. The result is a thick yet airy batter, with the unmistakable aroma of chocolate filling the kitchen. The batter is poured into cake pans, each lined with parchment paper to ensure easy removal after baking. It's then placed in a preheated oven, where the magic begins. As the batter bakes, the cake rises and develops a beautifully golden, moist exterior. The scent of baking chocolate fills the air, adding an almost irresistible allure to the kitchen. Once baked, the cake is cooled to room temperature, and its spongy texture is revealed. It should be soft, springy, and full of that rich chocolate flavor. The ganache creating the silken chocolate coating. The next step in making the Kirish chocolate cake is the ganache. Ganache is a classic French technique, and it's what gives the cake its smooth, velvety finish. It's essentially a simple mixture of chocolate and heavy cream, but when prepared correctly, it becomes an indulgent layer of rich, glossy chocolate that melts in your mouth. To begin, the chocolate is chopped into small pieces to ensure it melts evenly. The best choice for the ganache is dark chocolate, which has a deep, bittersweet flavor that perfectly complements the sweetness of the cake. The chocolate is placed in a heat-proof bowl, ready to be melted. In a saucepan, the cream is gently heated until it just begins to simmer. The key here is to heat the cream carefully. Too much heat could cause it to boil over and affect the texture of the ganache. Once the cream reaches the right temperature, it's poured over the chopped chocolate. The mixture is left to sit for a few minutes, allowing the chocolate to soften in the hot cream. Then, using a spatula, the cream and chocolate are stirred together, creating a smooth, glossy ganache. The ganache should be thick but still pourable, with a deep, shiny finish. After it's made, the ganache is left to cool slightly. Once cooled, it will be spread over the cake, forming a perfect, smooth layer of chocolate that creates a rich contrast to the light chocolate sponge underneath. This glossy, indulgent ganache is poured over the cooled sponge, allowing it to coat every side, giving the cake a beautiful, glossy sheen. The ganache is then left to set, firming up slightly as it cools. The raspberry mousse adds a tangy and light counterpoint. While the cake and ganache are rich, the raspberry mousse provides a perfect counterpoint. The raspberry mousse is light, refreshing, and packed with the vibrant, tangy sweetness of fresh raspberries. The preparation of the mousse requires a delicate balance of ingredients to achieve the right texture and flavor. Fresh raspberries are the heart of this mousse, and they're pureed until smooth. The seeds of the raspberries are removed by straining the puree through a fine mesh sieve. This step ensures that the mousse has a silky smooth texture without the graininess of seeds. The strained puree is then sweetened to balance the tartness of the raspberries. The sweetened puree is combined with whipped cream, an essential ingredient that gives the mousse its light, airy texture. Next, gelatin is added to the raspberry puree to help it settle and maintain its shape when layered in the cake. The gelatin is bloomed in cold water, then gently heated until it dissolves completely. It's added to the raspberry mixture and stirred until well combined. Finally, the whipped cream is folded into the raspberry puree, creating a mousse that's both airy and stable. The mousse should be light and fluffy, yet firm enough to hold its shape when layered in the cake. Assembling the Kirish Chocolate Cake layer by layer. The assembly of the Kirish Chocolate Cake is where all the individual components come together to create the final dessert. The chocolate sponge is sliced into multiple layers. Each layer is brushed with a simple syrup, which helps to keep the cake moist and adds a bit of sweetness. Once the first layer of sponge is placed on the cake board, it's topped with a generous layer of the raspberry mousse. The mousse is spread evenly over the sponge, creating a light, fluffy layer that contrasts beautifully with the rich chocolate. After the mousse layer, a smooth layer of ganache is spread on top, followed by another layer of sponge. This process is repeated, alternating between layers of cake, raspberry mousse, and ganache, creating a multi-layered masterpiece. As the layers stack up, the cake becomes taller and more intricate. The final layer of cake is topped with the smooth coating of ganache, which is spread evenly over the entire cake to create a flawless finish. The ganache should be applied carefully to ensure a clean, professional look. The cake is then placed in the refrigerator to set for several hours, allowing the mousse to firm up and the ganache to harden to perfection. Decoration. Add a finishing touch. Once the cake has set, it's time for the final touch of decoration. The Kirish Chocolate Cake is typically adorned with fresh raspberries, which add a burst of color and emphasize the raspberry flavor within the mousse. A few chocolate shavings or delicate chocolate curls can be added to the top for a touch of elegance. For an extra special touch, some pastry chefs like to drizzle raspberry colors around the base of the cake, adding a vibrant splash of color and an extra layer of fruity sweetness. The end result is a cake that's not only delicious but visually stunning. Layers of glossy chocolate ganache, airy mousse, and fresh raspberries, all coming together to create a dessert that's as beautiful as it is tasty. The Kirish Chocolate Cake is a true masterpiece of dessert making, combining rich chocolate flavors with the refreshing tang of raspberry. Each layer of this cake tells a story, starting with the chocolate sponge, followed by the smooth ganache and the light, airy mousse, all coming together in a harmonious celebration of flavors and textures. Creating this cake is not just about following a recipe, it's about understanding the balance between richness and lightness, indulgence and freshness. For anyone with a passion for desserts, making a Kirish Chocolate Cake is an experience in itself, a journey of creativity, technique, and love for good food. It's a dessert that brings together the best of both worlds, blending traditional European techniques with the vibrant flavors of Korea, creating something truly special.